Hallo miteinander, I'm Geshi6, and this is the Disappearing of Gensokyo. Last time, we made sure the Lunatic Kingdom could hold on to its legacy. We also found a portal to uncertainty. This uncertainty turned out to be a ruined realm of chaotic shapes. What Tenshi is about to mention is very relevant to gameplay. For this stage and it alone, our radar does not work. Among our companions, only Marissa seems to be present in regards to the story. The witch is Reimu's best friend, so that is appropriate. We also chose her as a weapon, as enemy groups will be large and clumped together here. Just then, we read that rooms are cramped. That is true, there's not much space to navigate around these small islands. They're all connected through magical warps. With that, we come to what I've hinted at last episode. Stage 17 is a teleporter maze. To be fair, the comparison with Labyrinth of Touhou's infamous Floor 7 was a gross exaggeration. Few of the islands have more than 2 exits, and although I haven't yet learned the path by heart, I've never gotten truly lost. The fact that the places you've already gone to won't spawn adversaries is all the aid you really need to make it to the end, sooner or later. Since we've been so successful at forging truces, only very few enemy types appear here, namely sinsacks, clansmen, pink bullet fairies, and the most feared black fairies. Especially of the latter there is a surprising amount, although never too many at once. We won't get into a situation like that of stage 10, where an encounter with them was just inherently unfair. Still, you know that even one black fairy has the potential to overwhelm you. We always have to be quick on the draw. We just managed to pick up Oku. If only we had the luck to get Cherno. As so often, she is valuable later in the level, situationally even more than our powerhouse Marissa. One noteworthy change is our new satellite, the Yin Yang Orb. Among the row 5 perks, it is my absolute favorite. It has a very low activation range, but as soon as it reacts, it reaches a damage per second that is actually above negligible. Unlike the comet from last time, the low range isn't as much a problem as you would think. After all, most opponents in DOG seek to actively close in on you. The third satellite, the Keystone, will unfortunately never make it into the Let's Play. Its purpose is damaging and knocking back standard enemies. It's about as good as the orb, but its special effect does not work on bosses. With this stage being so maze-like, you might be worried that magic pieces would be a hassle. We haven't found a single one yet. In fact, we have made it to the end without any, and that is alright. Leaving the maze behind was the only objective, the pieces are elsewhere. How gracious is that for a change? We now find ourselves on a purple, ethereal looking bridge. Marissa believes Reimu cannot be far, so we follow it into the distance. Even as our footing seemingly dissolves, we press onward and finally arrive at an out-of-place, idyllic patch of grass, complete with a shrine and its proprietor. After so long, here's the Hakure Shrine Maiden in the flesh. There is a donation box behind her. I bet that is the emptiest object in the universe. Any generous soul who is willing to give something needs to make it through 17 murderous levels first. Reimu confirms that the culprit is not just from the outside world, but the outside world in its entirety. She does, however, have a plan. Sadly, it is a plan she does not wish to share with us. Reimu orders us to go home and leave all the responsibility to her. It might have been a mistake to bring Marissa with us, as the witch even agrees with her friend. What a traitor! Tenshi herself is not so weak-willed and confesses her sympathy for the invaders. Gensokyo should not be a place we have to jealously protect in her eyes. The people of the outside world should be allowed to enter and be granted the benefit of the doubt. Reimu will not take that gamble, so it's an issue these two will never agree upon. The only solution is to duke it out in battle. Don't worry, Marissa is available, despite her questionable loyalty. Reimu begins the fight by spraying amulets. They don't deal much damage individually, but you should avoid taking a whole volley. The iconic fantasy seal is, as expected, semi-homing. Fast characters outrun it easily. It's not until the next phase and its yin-yang orbs that things get dangerous. They bounce on the ground and only hurt on impact, yet since this is a game played in bird's eye view, it's not easy to judge when and where that is. You need a good depth perception. Furthermore, the Shrine Maiden tries to throw you off by frequently teleporting. This, however, and the position where she appears is always announced by her shooting a spinning exorcism square. Finally, we have a climax with fantasy nature, which looks big and scary but really isn't hard to understand or escape from. I believe I have lost to Reimu exactly once in the past. It wasn't even my very first attempt, just some horrible form of the day. This fight is not supposed to slow you down. It is more of a warm-up or a ruse to build your confidence only to crush it. We were only given one magic piece for our effort so far, and our Shrine Maiden does not speak like a disgraced loser. Instead, she reaffirms how devoted she is to her cause. With a monologue so fiery and furious, this cannot be the end of our quest. What is the sacrifice she speaks of? We will see. Don't be afraid, is what our mission objective said. At this point, we come to the most peculiar design choice of the entire game. It's something I would not have expected in this kind of production, but a BioWare title maybe. When BioWare was still any good, of course. We have two paths to choose from, and each is represented by a guardian, a splintered aspect of Reimu. This noble, dutiful, beautiful, and pure version of her argues that Gensokyo must be kept sacred. The sinsacks and phantoms have to be thrown out, even if some of them may be nice and likable. The risk that comes with their kind is not worth taking, and not something we should burden the residents of paradise with. I've got to say, I like her. She's reasonable, wise, and pretty. Keep in mind the one we choose is not the one we side with, but the one we challenge and oppose. Yuck, look what the cat dragged in. This other aspect of Reimu has dirty clothes, demonic eyes, uncanny markings on half of her body, and to top it all off, is really rude and threatening in her speech. I don't know about you, but I don't like her already. What a gross and horrible individual. Still, we shall listen to what she has to say. She sides with the invaders and wants them to flood all over Gensokyo. Access to our haven should be unrestricted according to this fiend. And when the damage has been done and sinsacks are becoming a problem, we're supposed to weed out the undesirables. Honestly, that sounds very short-sighted and reckless. Nonetheless, both Reimus have made their cases. Choosing who to attack will be the most important decision made in our whole adventure. Although, if you ask me, it is hardly a difficult one. With that, I'm Gesh86, this was the Disappearing of Gensokyo, and next time, the finale. Bis bald!